Hello everybody and welcome to Clydebridge Station. Bachmann's long-awaited new tooling of the Class 08 shunter has finally hit the shelves. Initially, Bachmann have offered with this new tooling 8 different versions. 7 Class 08s in a variety of liveries, including the provincial livery as seen here. And there's also a Class 09 variant as well. The new design replaces a much older design, and I really do mean much older because it was getting well long in the tooth. It was over 20 years old. And this new design was picked up from a local shop, Scooney Hobbies, where I'd had it on pre-order. Now, by coincidence, on the same day that I went in to collect mine, David Watson from Dean Park Station got his as well. His is actually a sound fitted machine, and it's a deluxe version, so it is automatic working couplers. But what I'll do is, I won't go into the detail of the automatic couplers and how it all operates. I'll leave that to David Watson, and towards the end of the video I'll put a link in the top right hand corner so you can go and view his video. But before I go ahead and look at this shunter in detail, which you saw shunting the parcels train at the start of this programme, we'll talk about the story of the Class 08 shunter. The story of diesel shunters on the British Rail network goes a long way back, much further than what you probably expect. In 1932, the London Midland and Scottish Railway decided to build an experimental batch of diesel shunting locomotives with Siemens power units. This came after a trip to Germany, where they were able to see how much diesel shunters were used over there. The introduction of the trial batch to a various number of depots showed that diesel shunting locomotives offered considerable advantage over steam shunting locomotives. Namely, it saved on manpower because the locomotives had to be crewed at all times and kept effectively on fire, ready to be used whenever, even during long periods of not being used. Thus therefore saved also on fuel as well. With the diesel shunter, you just started it up and shut it down as necessary. When British Rail adopted diesel shunters after its creation in 1948, the LMS design was adopted, but there were some alterations made to the design, not too big an alteration, and this resulted in 1955, as part of the modernisation plan, the introduction of the Class 08 shunter, built by BR's own workshops, but with an English electric power unit, capable of producing around about 400 horsepower. It became the most numerous type of diesel loco on British Rail, with nearly 1,000 being built, although with a lot of it at the time being confined to marshalling yards, it would certainly be the least photographed. A further batch of 26 were built for the southern region, and these externally were identical to the Class 08. But unlike the 08, which had a top speed of 15 miles per hour, the Class 09 had a top speed of 27 miles per hour to allow it to do trip workings on main lines on the southern region. The Class 09 shunters also had high-level air pipes equipped to them to work with Southern Region 1951 onwards multiple unit stock for shunting within depots. A number of Class 08s were later retrofitted with this feature as well. As a rule, they would have normally been kept on the Southern Region, but the likes of 08833 Liverpool Street Pilot had the high-level air pipes too, because some Southern Region EMUs would be overhauled at Stratford Depot. The Class 08 shunter when it came out, was initially in BR green. It then went just to plain BR blue, with the BR logo exactly where it is. In the 1980s, with sectorisation, you may be surprised to learn that a large number of them didn't gain any sector liveries. But some of them did, and there were a lot of unofficial liveries as well. I've already mentioned 08833, which carried the Great Eastern Railway green. There were others. A shunter at Wolverton got repainted back into its original livery. 08 at Newcastle got an all-over red livery. And several shunters were painted into various other liveries as well. Happily, I'm pleased to say 60 of these shunters have been preserved, the Class 08. But it's also worth mentioning that in the late 90s and early 2000s, several Class 08s had their running speed increased to 25 or 27 miles per hour and thus became Class 09s. Externally, they were just the same as before. Now, this particular locomotive, 08761, received this livery at Haymarket Depot in 1988, along with 08720. At the same time, a shunter was repainted into Intercity Executive livery, but later repainted again to carry the Swallow livery, as Intercity were now using by then. Another locomotive, 08730, I believe, got an all-over black livery with the BR symbol, and another one gained apple green livery. 08761 was allocated to Haymarket Depot, but that depot was also responsible for providing the 2 or 3 diesel shunters that were outbased at Thornton Yard in Fife. It would perform shunting operations around the yard with rail freight wagons, and the locomotives were also responsible for the trip working from Thornton Yard up to Markinch Station, then down the Auchmuty branch to the Tullochshussel paper mill in Glenrothes. A Class 08 was actually the largest locomotive that could be accommodated on the branch. The locomotives were swapped over every 4 to 6 weeks, I believe, and it led to this locomotive sometimes actually working rail freight wagons, making a quite strange sight in its provincial livery. The locomotive as well, though, would normally be found at Haymarket shunting multiple units around, or if there was any there, coaching stock as well, which was the main reason why it was painted into the provincial livery in the first place. The previous Bachmann tooling of the Class 08 was well long in the tooth, over 20 years old, and I actually had one at one time on Clydebridge station, but it didn't work properly at all, and there was quite a bit of a gap that you could see between the bodywork and the chassis. That's the first thing to point out to you. That is no longer there. This one is superbly done. The new tooling has given Bachmann the chance to really upgrade this locomotive, and it's an interesting comparison with the Hornby Class 08, which David Watson looks at in his video. I've got a previous Hornby tooling which we can certainly look at as well later on to compare them. This new Bachmann Class 08 though is stunning, and it is really top drawer. We'll start from the cab end of the locomotive, and I haven't fitted any detailing to it, although detailing is included. I need locomotives to have couplings at both ends, and the only way I could fit detailing to that would be to put the detailing on and then trim it back, so it's doesn't foul the coupler at all. If you put the detailing on the full length, as you'll see on the Class 08, which from Hornby, which came with the detailing, you'll not be able to use the coupler properly. The Class 08 has got sprung buffers. It's got marker lights, which actually are operational on David Watson's one. I haven't tried them yet on mine, so I don't think they're operational because I've not got the deluxe one. The cab windows are to the correct proportions, and notice it's only 2 marker lights at the bottom. There's no marker lights going up in the middle. By the 1980s, a lot of these were getting removed. Bringing the camera around to the side to have a look at the shunter, and it's the same on the other side as well, so we'll just concentrate on this side. And the livery is picked out very well indeed. This is a really good machine indeed when it comes to livery. It's absolutely stunning and accurate. On the real one at Haymarket Depot, the blue stripe here, the light blue stripe, was a bit thicker, so it didn't quite match coaching stock, and that's been replicated here. So if you buy one of these and it doesn't match up with your regional railways or ScotRail liveried rolling stock, don't worry, that's what it's meant to be like. The cab doors do not open. On the Hornby one they do for some reason, don't know why. No need for that. The data panel is well picked out, and if you had a magnifying glass you'd actually be able to see that properly. The Haymarket Depot symbol of the castle, Edinburgh Castle, is there on one of the engine room doors. There's black treads on the battery box and toolbox. The ladders have been removed, but the space where the ladders would sit is still there, the points that the ladder would sit in. When built new, the Class 08s did come with ladders that were situated on both sides to allow you to get onto the roof. The electrification flashes will probably tell you why the ladders were actually removed at all locations. The cab steps are accurately portrayed here, as are the air compressors in white. And we've got handles here on these ladders, and sometimes what you would find is that a member of depot staff would stand on this and hold the ladders as the shunter went along. Comment has been made by quite a few people about the conrod here connecting the 3 wheels, which is why it's a 060. It's in the correct orange colour, but David Watson in his video says that it looks just a little bit too thick. That I think it's just the proportion of the orange that's causing it to look a bit thick. It seems to be the right dimensions, and I think it's just the orange is making it look thicker, but it does look to be the correct dimensions. Certainly that's my opinion. On the front here, the nose end or the radiator end, here's a good way to know how well this has actually been painted. On the radiators there is no shot lines showing, no black showing at all. The yellow has gone deep in there. That's how good it is. The buffers again are sprung at the front, and we've got blue conduit all around here, and that's the correct colour, and the marker lights again picked out there. Turning to the roof, and this is really where Bachmann have started to score. To install the decoder on this new one, it's actually this panel here, 2 clips at one end and a lip at this end, and that'll let you get access to put the decoder in. Completely different from how it used to be. You couldn't even tell that is actually a detachable roof panel, following on from the likes of Accurascale, who have detachable roof panels on their locomotives. Some people like it and some people hate it, because the roof panels can actually end up in a different colour, as has been noticed on a couple of models. Here the roof panels are the exact same colour. You wouldn't actually know that that was a detachable panel, so Bachmann have done really well there with that roof panel. This is a little hatch here that's designed to be slid back and forward. Bachmann have got it permanently in the closed position. On the Hornby one it does slide open and shut, but look, there's no problem with that at all. Bachmann have chosen to do that. The exhaust port is the correct size, and they've got the whistle done in, as you can see there, silver colour. I'll pick the locomotive up carefully, and I don't know how well the camera will show you that, but there's some good detailing in the cab interior there. The deluxe version comes with a light that lights the cab up, by the way. Right, I've been having a little play around off camera with the functions. So let's just try a few functions now. They may have a different number on a sound fitted or a deluxe one. So I've been trying these off camera, and that there is the tail lights, or the marker lights, which is function 0, and you can see there that they're on there, so I'll just turn them off again. And just to show you again, that's some red. That's me got the loco in the getting ready to go in the other direction, and they've gone to white. And at the other end I can confirm the red, and if I change the direction of the shunter, the marker lights are white and they're red there. So we'll just turn them off again. There's one red and one white marker light. Now I've no idea what that would have been used for, so if anybody does know, please let me know in the comments below. That there, I should tell you, is function 3. But there's the best one of the lot. That's function 4, and it really gives you a chance to see inside the cab, which we're going to do. We're going to have a quick look inside the... There you go, you can see just how detailed that is. Sorry for the shaky camera, but I'll put the camera down there and let you have a little look at it. But that is a very well detailed cab in there. Now that's function 4 there. And I'll just send it in there, and you could just give you a shot there as well. Remember, these shunters had controls at one end, but they had 2 sets of controls, so the driver could be at either side. One thing I do notice is not present on this, but I have seen it on a class 09 with seats. But I suppose that may have been a retrofit by a depot, but the reality is that you were never going to see much if you were sitting down, but the seat was really for a second man in shunting operations. And we'll just turn F4 off there. Now there's various other functions that would be available on the sound fitted or the deluxe models, but I don't have them on this shunter, with it just being the normal class 08. But I hope you enjoyed all those functions there. Well, this is the previous Hornby tooling which I bought on a Facebook buy and sell group, and it's not as good a runner as the Bachmann one, having tested it out already. It seems to not pick up power too well compared to the Bachmann one, but I'll talk about that in a minute. First of all, Hornby and Bachmann on the previous tooling had this little gap between the body and the sole bar, which is very visible there. The cab window is open, which I suppose would be realistic in shunting operations, but unfortunately you're not able to close it. And it's got this door that opens and shuts. I'm just doing that there now. Don't know why Hornby put that in. However, Hornby I've had the roof vent, and we'll look at that in a minute, which slides open and shut. You could just see me doing that there with my finger. The space for where the ladder had been is shown there, but if you notice on the Hornby one, it's just horizontal slats. You can just see it's horizontal slats, horizontal holes with vertical slats that's going on the Bachmann one. So difference there, but remember this is several years old, so there'll be a difference in technology. The conrod there on the wheels looks to be is definitely a bit smaller, not as thick as what's on the Bachmann one. I still think that there's a bit of proportion here, but I think Bachmann may well have got that right, and Hornby have got that wrong. What Hornby have done right on this previous tooling is, as well as having you won't be able to see this properly until I give you a nose end view, but as well as having the normal NEM coupler on, they've put a little dummy coupling hook up as well, so they've got that right there. Now, I'm just going to turn the two locomotives just to sit on the track like that, and we can see from the sides, from the cab ends here, the Bachmann one is actually bettor. Bigger cab windows, which actually correctly meet up with almost the curve of the bodywork. They're a little bit further away on the Hornby one, and the Hornby one has also got these ridges on it for some reason. The Bachmann one does not. See, it's quite smooth there. Now there's a load of rivets in there. I'm not going to bother counting the rivets. I'm not a rivet counter. Leave that to somebody else if they want to waste their time doing that. But if we look at the buffer beam here as well, this is a problem that this one has. You can see it can foul the coupler a little bit. So that's why it won't be getting fitted the detailing to the Bachmann one. It's got one of these hooks to put maybe a board over or some piece of equipment, but on the Hornby one there's quite a few of them. I think by the 80s a lot of these were getting removed, like the marker lights. I have to say as well that the marker lights would have actually went up in that way as well. Sprung buffers on both, but the Hornby one doesn't score as well as the Bachmann one in this regard, simply because of the size of the windows and these ridges here. Let's turn the locomotives to the radiator end. Both models have got the conduit here correctly picked out in blue. Do remember that depending upon the livery the locomotive carried will determine what colour that conduit would be. The radiator on the Bachmann one has got flexible grills. They're actually solid on here, although I wouldn't recommend you try to flex the grills too much, so please don't do that. But on the Bachmann one, the grill does look slightly bigger and also looks to be slightly further away from the top of the bodywork. Also, as well, if you notice very carefully, the gap in the wasp end there, compared to the yellow on that one in black, looks to be a bit bigger. As I say, these are actually very different technologies that has built these, so there are differences in the dates. There's one more difference between the two locomotives, and it actually concerns some of the mesh here, which I believe is some filters. On that it's just plastic with ribbed dots. On the Bachmann offering, it's proper fine scale mesh. The Bachmann one wins it for me, but the Hornby one does have some good features in it too, and this is the bit I was on about. There's that vent there. This we got to open. And it goes back in the closed position. I don't think it's too much of a fuss. One last thing, the exhaust port on the Bachmann, on the Hornby one, is quite small. It's a little bit larger on the Bachmann one. One last thing that I forgot to mention in this video is that everybody expected that the locomotive would have a stay alive only on the sound fitted or the deluxe models. Now this is a standard DCC fitted model, so it's not sound fitted. What was very interesting when I done a test off camera with this was that it is fitted with a stay alive, and it does take a bit of getting used to as well, because its acceleration and deceleration is very accurate compared to the Hornby one. The thing is, it is based upon this hauling something like some empty stock of a sleeper train, for instance. But it is a very, very good machine indeed. The question that has got to be asked is, should you buy it, consider it, or give it a miss? I would say buy it if you can find one. There's various other liveries that they carry as well, and David Watson's video provides full details of those. Now, this wasn't the only new locomotive to recently arrive at the layout, and more details on that will be given in a separate video, which you'll be able to see on this YouTube channel in the coming weeks. I'll leave you now with an image of the locomotive there, 08761. I'm very pleased to have her. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell icon so you can be notified of when new videos appear on this YouTube channel. There's at least one per calendar month. So thank you very much indeed for watching this review, and give your comments in the comments box below what you think of this machine. And I shall see you soon. Whatever you're doing, please do take care of yourselves, won't you? And enjoy your layouts. And we'll see you soon. Cheerio.